got three things to say. God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
Well, here we are at the egg-shaped oval in Darlington, South Carolina for another great race, week number 8 in the QSR Xfinity Series. Live on Vspeed. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Alongside me here tonight, Jake Reeves, up in the booth, the redneck announcer. And we're excited as always, but this track is going to be very tough. It's actually labeled too tough to tame. The Lady in Black, whatever name you give it, you still have to stay focused and race this track to a T.
Yeah, Bradley, I mean, you're right 100%. And another nickname that they've actually give this place literally is the granddaddy of them all. Obviously, the host to the Southern 500, which is literally one of the biggest races on the NASCAR schedule. A lot of big name drivers have won at this track. There you see the length at 1.36 miles. There's the turns, folks. These turns is very, very tricky, I guess you could say. Turn 1 and 2, very long and sweeping, just like you was talking about, Bradley, egg-shaped. And then you go to turn 3 and 4. It's a little bit tighter, I guess you could say. So these guys are going to have to be very, very finesse on that. And one thing about it, Bradley, before we go green, believe it or not, way back in the day, this track actually got reconfigured where they're actually at, where the start-finish line is. That was the backstretch way back in the day. On the backstretch, it was the turn 4. Folks think back to Days of Thunder era. That was when they was always talking about treacherous turn 4. Well, actually, it's treacherous turn 2 now. So these guys got a lot that they're going to be thinking about for 95 laps.
Reconfiguration in 1995. So I was barely alive, barely even knew what cars were at that time. But let's get down trackside, get that grid up on your screen. Starting on the pole today, it's going to be Jeremy Burns with a 28.886. He'll be about a tenth ahead of Jared Ziegler in the second position. Run number 2 goes to Kevin West, Daniel Molnix in 4th. 5th spot goes to Marshall Newton, Ronnie Joyner in 6th. 7th, Galen Wunsch, Joseph Terciano, and that top 10, Quentin Stewart and Chris Nail.
You got Trent Wilkins starting 11th. Austin Dowdy will be 12th. CJ Gates will be 13th. Brett Allen will start 14th. Mike Petrum will be 15th. 16th to Austin Thomas. That's the last driver to take a time. You got Derek McMurtry, Ethan Wisnowski. You got Clay Nelson, Spencer Johnson. That's the 20-car field as they're coming off of turn 4, Bradley.
Set to go green. Here we go from Darlington. QSR Simulation Xfinity Series. Live and racing on Vspeed.
Here we go, going into turn 1. Burns and down on the bottom. Ziegler's up top. Very, very tight right here going through 1 and 2. Usually everybody wants to try to get single file. Burns out by a car length, able to get around Ziegler. Burns gets loose coming off a 2. He damn near slapped it right into the fence. Ziegler able to get to the bottom. Now Ziegler's going to battle hard on the inside. He's going to take the lead. He's going to leave Burns in the dust. Jared Ziegler to the lead here at Darlington.
And he will lead lap number 1. He takes away the pole from the 97. In good style, but I mean, that's the mistake you can make when you get to racing the cars around you. We talked about it pre-race there briefly. Race the racetrack, because as soon as you start looking in that mirror, as the 2 of Daniel Molnix is sideways, still chasing it down the backstretch. He will save it. Gates all the way to the bottom of the track. Where is CJ Gates going to go?
Oh,
Oh,
my
that was a lucky
goodness.
transition, huh?
Woo, boy, that was a bonsai move, if you want to call it that right there, out of CJ Gates right there. I had no idea where the hell he was going. I thought he may have ended up going to the hot dog stand there for a second, but as far low as he went, you check it out once again right here on the instant replay. There you see Gates right there in the 14. Monix, there you see him up there at the front, already down to the bottom. Gates really just, wow. I mean, hell, if he would have went high, he probably would have been in a bad spot. If he would have went in the middle, he would have really been in a bad spot. He chose to take it all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, which, I mean, Bradley, you can do that. You can go anywhere on the track to be able to improve your position. There's no line like Daytona or Talladega, but certainly not the move that I would have expected out of CJ Gates to make right there.
Yeah, I think he just assessed the situation and made the best of what was happening. A little check up there on the backstretch because of Monix, and suddenly there's a car in your lap. You got to go somewhere. Well played there by Gates. Luckily, we go through turns 3 and 4. Stay green. 4 laps into this race, now 5 begins. Ziegler has led every lap completed thus far. Burns hanging with him. Kevin West in 3rd.
And one thing that we're really going to be watching out for tonight, Bradley, is these tires is really going to be eaten up like a cheese grater. I mean, really, you know, for like, say, Dover, old Atlanta, Chicagoland, tracks like that, this place will certainly eat up the tires and just straight up spit them out 9 ways to Sunday. So these guys really going to have to start managing some tires. You can't really go full sand all the way around this track. There you see them going through 1 and 2. I mean, the line is really finicky here, really, Bradley, because you go into turn 1, you try to enter on the bottom, you try to diamond it, try to slide up against the wall, and then try to exit off of the bottom of the racetrack. If you exit off the top, you're going to be screwed. Right here in 3 and 4, where you see Burns up all the way up on the top side, he's able to get the run and get up there to Ziegler. But at what point at that is your tires is going to end up burning up there on that top side. Ziegler actually saving tires down there on the bottom, but he'll end up getting tight. Burns up on the top. He gets a little bit loose up there, but like I said, he's going to burn more tire up there.
And so we missed it here on the start of the race, a little bit behind, but we'll show it up here on the screen. Race analysis right there, 95 laps here tonight. Of course, 4 tire sets available, 100% fuel. Pit road here, we didn't talk much about it, but that's another difficulty at this racetrack. Getting onto the pits, it actually starts right at the exit of turn 3. You're not at the apron in turn 3, you're probably going to miss it and hit the barrels. Yeah,
I mean, that is basically, if I had to say, honestly, Bradley, it is one of the more tricky pit roads to get on in all of iRacing, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure, you know, the big 11-mile track of Nürburgring, I'm sure it's probably pretty damn tough to be able to get on. But this right here is very hard, especially when you get on those slick tires, you know, with all the heat built up in them. And one thing I was actually going to mention, Bradley, these guys can make it on one stop, but there is some drivers I've heard, not going to mention any names, but there is some drivers that I've heard that may end up trying to go two stops, split this sucker into thirds. So you're going to see some different strategies on whether or not they want to go split it in thirds and pit 2 times, or just try to go ahead and pit 1 time, probably right there, I'd say about the halfway point. So a lot of strategies that we're going to be seeing as this race unfolds.
Saw a little slide there briefly by Joseph Terciano, who's in the 8th position. He's able to gather back up. CJ Gates in 11th after diving to the apron of the racetrack. He's picked up 2 spots, working on Quentin Stewart, who just tagged the wall there, coming out of 4.
Yeah, that's Bonsai Gates. That's what I'm going to end up calling him before I end up maybe getting another nickname out of him. Bonsai Gates sends it into turn 1. Stewart all but sideways. Gates actually got up into the turn 3 wall just a couple of laps ago and just basically got hooked up there. He really wasn't able to get off of the wall. And folks, when you get on this wall here at Darlington, you just cannot get off of it. I mean, you just stay on that wall literally all the way through the corner. But now Gates trying to work this bottom side. He's going to leave Stewart up on the top, and you see the run that Stewart is able to get coming off of the top side. Gates going to send it in hard right here. Maybe end up having a little battle right here between both these guys. It's the battle for 10 on your screen. Stewart gets up, smacks the wall a little bit. Gates ain't going to let him have it. Gates wants to get into the top 10 right here, Bradley.
And finally able to clear as he gets in front, but a crossover hits the outside wall, and the 14 car going to have Quentin Stewart to the inside, just like that. Stewart back to 10th. And you'll see these guys all race long kind of tag the left front below that white dotted line you see on that bottom of the high banked portion of the racetrack. It's actually helped set the front end into the corner and complete that pass. Very difficult to master, but you can do it really well in 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is a little more difficult. Gates into the wall again, and he's stuck.
Yeah, he is stuck, and that's just what I was mentioning right there, Brandon. Look at this right here. When you get stuck up there, you're just going to lose so much time, lose so much speed. That's how Quentin Stewart is able to just literally drive right by him, like he was literally sitting still, to be honest with you. Just be able to go right by him. So now you're going to have to see Gates really try to muster something up and get up here and try to get around Quentin Stewart. Jared Ziegler is still the leader right now. Jeremy Burns still running in the second spot. West sitting in third, Joyner fourth, and Wunsch sitting in the top 5 right now. As it looks like actually the top 4 has actually separated themselves from the rest of the pack. 5th place is about 3 seconds back from the leader, and 4th place is just about a second back. So there's a huge gap right now. Front 4 cars really starting to break away.
Ronnie Joyner starting to turn up the heat a little bit here. Last time by, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack with a 29.134. That'll put him just a couple thousandths of a second slower than Jared Ziegler. Now that's one aspect of it when you're running and hitting your lines, ticking the laps away. But it's actually a 30.047, so he's actually a little slower. I misread that on the best lap. So, but he is quick, and he shows that he has the long run speed. If he can focus on that portion of the race and not these guys that are in front of him, he's going to have a pretty good night. I have a feeling Ronnie Joyner is going to be up here in this top 3 before it's all said and done. Yeah,
I mean, I could just about see that as well. Obviously, last week's All-Star winner at Bristol Motor Speedway. And, I mean, awesome paint scheme when we get a chance here in a minute to check it out. Well, we'll check it out right here, right now. I mean, folks, that is a straight-up throwback. Obviously, Darlington, always a lot of history, tradition here at this racetrack, but that is a throwback to way back when Dale Earnhardt Jr. was running in them what was called the NASCAR Busch Series. Obviously, it's now the Xfinity Series, but the AC Delco got the Superman right there. I mean, awesome, badass, honestly. Throwback right there for Ronnie Joyner to have the Superman AC Delco car. But now you see the battle for second. Kevin West gonna ease up to the back bumper of Jeremy Burns. Battle for second on your screen, as Ziegler still trying to motor away from this battle.
We were watching that briefly. It was actually closer when we had last checked in on it, but still about a tenth separate these 2 cars. And the Trail Break dude, or Trailer Park? I can't even read that. Let me get a better look at this.
Dude. Yeah, that's the Trailer Park dude. He's got a lot of videos on TikTok. Shares a lot of great content on the TikTok channel. So obviously, if you're on TikTok, go check him out for Trailer Park dude. And also go over and check out my TikTok, Redneck Announcer 57 over there on TikTok. Throw up some killer videos. Got some from actually right here for the QSR Xfinity series right here on Vspeed Racing Network. So a lot of cool stuff going on, and Kevin West is able to get up here and get around Jeremy Burns. You may end up seeing a highlight video on his channel right here if he can be able to get there. He's got to the left rear. Burns up on the top side. He's going to be able to carry the momentum and maybe get away. West almost tagged him coming off 4.
That's the tough spot on the racetrack to complete a pass. West backs out of it wisely, gets back behind the 97. He's shown that he's faster. Doesn't mean much if you guys take each other out. So he's going to go back to square one. Set him up here for another maybe attempt here in 3 and 4. Right up on the back bumper. Maybe tries the high line. Good run coming out of the corner again.
And we'll see if he can actually make it stick right here. West literally all up in his back bumper right there. I mean, hell, he could have bump drafted him literally going down the front stretch. Now West may think differently. Caution! Caution is on the speedway. Big crash back here. Derek McMurtry, Quentin Stewart, both of those drivers involved as we got our first caution of the night.
Quentin Stewart facing the wrong direction. Looks like McMurtry maybe aftermath of this incident. And we talked to Quentin Stewart pre-race about maybe having some cautions here tonight. That's our first one. So 22 laps into this thing, and that's our first yellow, 24 and 48.
Yeah, I mean, but it really all started right there with Quentin Stewart. To be honest with you, Bradley, I mean, they was going into turn 3. There you see C.J. Gates. Actually, Stewart got up into the fence is what had happened. He overdrove the corner. He slid up, got into the fence, and actually came down. You'll see it right on the instant replay. Sends it into 3 and 4, comes down the track. Gates is already coming. And honestly, I think they was going to end up making contact then, and Derek McMurtry just absolutely nowhere to go. Ends up running just straight into him. And Quentin Stewart, he is still on pit road getting damage fixed. But I do believe that McMurtry was able to pull away. He's got a little bit of front end damage, but there you saw he was riding on board with McMurtry. I mean, hell, he had nowhere to go. Because when you get Stewart right there in that particular spot, he was all the way up on the top of the racetrack. It's a bad spot, really. I mean, it really is. It's just a bad spot, Bradley, especially when a lot of guys get up there on the top side and you're rolling. It's just kind of hard to get off of that top side and try to drop back down to the bottom unless you just slam on the brakes. But if you do, you're still going to slide right into them.
Yeah, that's pretty much the apex of the corner where Quentin's sideways, and that's where a lot of guys are on the outside of their diamond corner. Here is the 57 of Ziegler, though. He hits his pit stall. 97 of Jeremy Burns getting the left sides up. Looks like Ziegler going to be down and away first. Just behind, that's going to be Burns coming out third. Kevin West is going to be the second car off pit road.
Looks like we're going to have a pretty good battle right here coming off. Roddy Joyner able to sneak up here. I believe he may end up getting third out of all that, I believe. Actually, no, he's going to be fourth because Ziegler was able to beat them all out. And how about Trenton Wilkin? Wilkin able to jump up a spot right here. He's able to get around Galen Wunsch, so he'll be right there up another spot. So move him all the way up to fifth right there as he passed by Wunsch. Wunsch did not have a good pit right there, so he's going to be back just a little bit. But you know, I mean, Quentin was talking about trying to maybe bring some guys in. Let's see if we can bring one in. I see one right now. I was going to actually bring in Mr. Jeremy Burns up here in the booth. Jeremy, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Jeremy, I mean, you started on the pole, and they're pretty much coming off turn 2. That was a hell of a save. I mean, you look like you was World Outlaws right there coming off of turn 2 right there on the start.
Yeah, got a little exciting there. I was trying to get clear of the 57. As soon as I did, thing just wanted to step out from underneath me and almost ruined the night right there. But we just tucked in behind the 57, and unfortunately, the one there dove it into the inside there, 1-2 right before the caution. And iRacing scored him ahead of me. But you know, we're gonna be behind the leader here, coming to one to grow this next time by, and we're gonna see what we can do on this restart.
What's going to be the key here tonight? Is it going to be just really survival, or is it going to be about trying to save your tires? Because I'm hearing it both ways. I'm hearing you got to be able to survive, and then also the tires. So which one's more that you're worried about?
Well, I mean, you gotta survive to get to the end, right? But I don't feel like I'll have an issue with that. I feel pretty quick here. I think it's just gonna be more about who has the tires underneath them come the end, and if you're willing to make that move going into one, there's a couple dives that you might even have to make, when it comes late race. So I feel really confident in the 97 Chevy Camaro here, and we're going to see what we can do.
All right, Jeremy, appreciate your time, and best of luck to you in the rest of the race, buddy.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, so Jeremy Burns in the 97 getting ready to square off. It's going to go with Ziegler, West, Burns, Joyner, and Wilkin for that top 5. We will take the green flag back on lap 27.
Yeah, this is actually going to be one hell of a restart right here, Bradley, because obviously, we saw how everything transcribed, I guess you could say. That's not necessarily a redneck word, but I hear enough about, those types of words, I guess you could say. But we saw a lot of crazy stuff happen right there on the restart. Guys wanting to maybe try to race too wide, especially coming off of turn 2. Going to be interesting to see if they do decide to stay too wide or if they try to single file out real quick, because we are coming to the green.
So pace car out of the way, down the front stretch, going green for the second time into that restart zone. And Ziegler hits the loud pedal into turn 1. Great jump, good launch, and he will clear the one of West into the first corner.
Yeah, and I think he actually hit the NOS button right there because Jared Ziegler is straight up gone right now. Kevin West up on the top side. West gets loose. West gets seriously loose. Straight down into Burns. West hard into the inside rotative wall. Caution on the speedway. Kevin West getting loose off of turn number 2 and right down into Jeremy Burns. But West got the short end of the stick by a mile right there. Caution once again on the speedway.
This is the same thing we saw with Burns on the start of this race, but unfortunately the one of West not able to get the save. Chases it all the way down the racetrack, and Burns, he picks up a little bit of damage from that, but it could have been a lot worse for the 97. Unfortunately, West is done for the day.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, that could have been really, really bad for a man that we just interviewed, Mr. Jeremy Burns. I'm hoping that comment. I saw it happening, and I was sitting there thinking, God, don't let the commentator curse in it and bust him right here. But I mean, West, he just loses it up here. You see Burns trying to back out. Actually, he was trying to give him the spot. Really, he didn't want to put West in a bad spot right there. And then just unfortunately, West just comes straight down across his nose. And at that point, Burns is just, he's hitting the brakes, just trying to make sure he can stay off of him. Like you said, got a little bit of damage maybe on the right front. Maybe a little bit on the left side, because when West hit the wall so hard, you'll see it right on the instant replay. I mean, this is just some hellacious impact trailers. We actually see some guys way back there in the back coming off too get in it, but you'll see him just barely. I thought actually West may have come up and maybe got into the left side door of Jeremy Burns and actually give him a little bit more damage, but no, Burns was able to get by him, so he may have a little bit right there on the right front, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. But you just see just how much the car can be just that much out of shape, Bradley, and that car just goes straight around right there, or go straight sideways. But look at those guys right there trying to go around that almost ended up getting into that right there. That could have been serious. I believe that was Ethan Wisnowski right there in the Home Depot car, I believe it was. But
Chris
wow.
Nail here in the middle.
Chris Nail. Wow.
They were 2-3 wide through that. And there's Molnix on the inside, so a lot of chaos. Brent Allen involved in that, but Chris Nail actually off the racetrack now. I'm not sure if he picked up some race-ending damage or not. Quentin Stewart, Austin Thomas, Kevin West, Chris Nail all out. Mike Petrin still out there, but he's 21 laps down. Derek McMurtry still getting some repairs done. He will be 6 laps down right now on the count. Austin Dowdy, the last car on the lead lap, and he has scored 14th position right now. So I think it's starting to come to fruition what we talked about pre-race, that this was going to be a tough track. Quentin was kind of worried that things were going to get out of hand. It's starting to come in about 30 laps into this race.
Well, Bradley, honestly, this track, it's not easy. No. Not by a long shot. This literally, folks, is one of the, we'll just go ahead and say it. This is one of the damn hardest racetracks to run as far as oval-wise, because, we talked about the grip level, but, you look at how wide this track is. You barely can fit 2 wide. Right there from where the dotted white line is all the way up to the wall. So it's very, very tight to try to be able to make a pass. You throw in how slick it can get. And Bradley, me and you know this, obviously, we've been in these cars here at this particular track. Think about what it would be if it was in the daytime. Think about that right there. And, a lot of people may be sitting there like...
just a week ago there. I think iRacing's there right now, so no, I don't want to be here in the daytime.
Yeah, well, just kind of give everybody else a factor as lights is out, so we're 1 to green. Right now, track temps is at 70 degrees. If it was in the daytime, maybe throw 25 extra degrees on the track, depending on how everything was set up. If it was set up for May, maybe June, or hell, even July, then you're looking at some probably record track temps probably. And that would all go by the air and everything else. But just being tonight, 70s, not as high. But it doesn't really matter, Bradley, because this track's still going to be slick as all get out.
2x2 For the third time today, Jared Ziegler still up front. He's led the vast majority. Actually, I believe has led every single lap so far that we've completed. Lap 32 about to be underway. Let's see if we can get a change for the lead. The 00 of Ronnie Joyner up into the top 3 for the first time on the restart. On the outside, green flag is back out. And not a great launch here for the 57. Joyner timed it well.
Yeah, Joyner timed it very, very well. That was actually a little bit stacked up, I guess you could say, behind him. Wunsch didn't really get up to the back bumper. Joyner, maybe that was Better Motorsports orders to make sure Wunsch didn't get in behind him. That way maybe somebody may end up spinning tires or something like that, which we'll talk about that later on. That is 100% something that you can do here. Ziegler still has the lead. Joyner trying to see if he can run him down. Wilkins actually slipping back. He may end up slipping into the clutches of Wunsch. And how about sitting in the top 5? Daniel Molnick spun, or he didn't necessarily spin all the way around, but got seriously loose. He was as far back as 16th, Bradley. He's worked his way all the way back up here to the top 5. So we saw a couple of other drivers back there having some very, very difficult challenges back there coming off a treacherous turn 2.
Ethan Wisnowski in the Hot Wheels number 15. He got very sideways coming off of turn 2. Now has the 97, Jeremy Burns, to the inside. After getting that damage repaired, he fell out of the top 10, but he's already on the climb. And there's some side-by-side with CJ Gates. Oh, he's sideways out of 2. Completes the pass barely.
Damn, what a save right there by CJ Gates. I'm telling you, I mean, any of the virtual fans back there coming off of turn 2 and right here in turn 3, wow, I'm telling you, best seats in the house, honestly, especially coming off of these corners right here. Those are the best seats in the house because you really get to see a driver at will, skill right there. That's what you're seeing. That is all skill to be able to make sure that car does not go all the way around and go straight into the spin cycle. So CJ Gates, he's got a handful back there, but he's still trying to reel in Wisnowski. He's still trying to reel in Burns. He's trying to reel in Allen, trying to reel in all 3 of these guys up here battling for the 8th spot.
And as they get side by side, that'll get a little bit easier. The 97 to the inside. Burns is going to clear the 13 of Brent Allen, so put Allen back to 9th position. Wisnowski is now off the pace a little bit through 1 and 2. Gates all over the back bumper for the top 10. Battle for 2nd is pretty hot as well. Ronnie Joyner, Trenton Wilkin up to 3rd now.
And Joyner trying to see if he can get some AC Delco colors and get them looking good here, basically for a throwback here at Darlington. Obviously Wilkin right behind him. Got a little Martin throwback scheme. A lot of throwback schemes I'm seeing here in the field. Joyner's got one, Wilkins got one. Obviously Molnick's has got one. He's running a throwback Rusty Wallace paint scheme. That's one thing I really love about Darlington. Honestly, I hate racing here, but I love watching the racing here because you really see a lot of throwback paint schemes here with these drivers. And really takes you back to the old days, way before me and you was probably even born, honestly, Bradley.
Yeah, I mean, I was there for pieces of this. I do remember Rusty's car that's out there on the racetrack right now. The start of the career for Dale Jr., the tail end there at Hendrick Motorsports that Trent Wilkin is rocking for Mark Martin just before Kyle Busch started racing. But, the height of NASCAR, when it, I think, was the peak between, 96 to 2004, that's my opinion, probably the highest rating and the most memorable moments, especially when it comes to paint schemes.
Yeah, I mean, and really, if you want to look at it to a certain extent, you could probably go as far as probably maybe star power, to be honest with you, Bradley. And I know there's a lot of fans out there might be out-tuning me on that one, but, I mean, you look at some of the star power that was back in, say, the early 2000s, maybe like right around 99, give or take, all the way up to around 2003. You're looking at the likes of Dale Earnhardt Sr., Dale Jarrett, Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, all those guys. We'll talk about that in a minute. Caution on the speedway.
8-car Austin Dowdy into the inside wall down the front stretch. He had the front end off of the ground. That will bring out our 3rd yellow here today. Heavy damage, still trying to figure out if this thing will roll, and it does, but lucky he had the oil pan kind of flashing the camera there for a second.
Yeah, and this right here is going to be kind of rough right here. If we try to get an instant replay, you'll end up seeing it. Bradley, I'm going to go ahead and give you a heads up. Your internet's not going to be messed up right here because that's what happened. He's going to blink out, but keep it rolling, keep it rolling. You're going to see what happens. He comes back, and as soon as he comes back, Gates is already to his inside. Gates did not know that he was there. Ends up left rearing him straight into the inside retaining wall. So, check it out. You're riding on board with Gates, and then watch. He's just trying to see if he can go low, and then hell, by the time he reappears, he's already turning him. So, unfortunate. I know a lot of drivers would probably sit there and say, well, why don't he just back off? You don't know. Hell, he could back off, and then Dowdy could already be spinning in front of him. And,
Or
just who knows at that point? Yeah. Just who knows at that point? But you got to go.
Yeah, we've been in those situations as drivers. Everyone on the iRacing service has been a part of that at some point. If you haven't seen that or witnessed that, well, you haven't done much racing on this thing, because it does happen to a lot of people. It's not common occurrence, but when it does happen, you can have instances where cars will reappear just in front or inside of cars. And so, unfortunately, we haven't completely perfected the internet just yet. And I think we're pretty far off as far as, perfecting the websites. But we do have a pretty good connection here on the iRacing service.
Yeah, and that's awesome, to see how far iRacing has come. I've said this numerous times. I've actually said it a couple of times on my podcast, the Door Banging Download on Spotify. I've said it numerous times just how far iRacing has came to being able to make you actually feel like that you're actually inside a real race car, because a lot of people doesn't have tens of thousands of dollars to be able to go out and run at their local short track, asphalt or dirt, whichever you prefer. And especially if you end up tearing up your car on this, all you got to do is just hit the reset button. Either that, or it ain't going to cost you, thousands and thousands of dollars. But Bradley, back to what we were talking about as far as the paint schemes goes and everything else, and as far as I guess you could say the top era, those drivers back in the day, those are the ones that actually got the pop culture started. As bad as I got to say it, right after Dale Earnhardt died, really, that's when the pop culture really started, because everybody was following Dale Jr. And Bradley, you know as well as I do, everybody was wearing their hats backwards, thinking that they was rock stars.
I still do
everybody
it.
was, yeah. Hell, I do it too. Pulling for the Budweiser 8. You had the Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr. deal going on. Then Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, all that stuff right before it went to Nextel Cup. Right around in the 2002, 2003, maybe even 2004. In my opinion, that's when the prime of NASCAR was. But the old school era was back in the late 90s. You could probably go late 80s as well. But, just a lot of star power back then that you really don't see in NASCAR right now.
I think partial to the paint schemes that we were talking about as well, a lot of companies not sticking true for an entire season. It's difficult for these guys to have a very distinguished paint that you can pick out on a racetrack, because there are so many sponsor changes throughout the season. There's very few companies left that actually stick through all the way, and Dollar General is one that comes to mind, but there's very few that have been on a car for an entire season as we get doubled back up. And I will say this, as far as being in the prime, I really feel like iRacing is in its prime as far as the service goes. We can compare that. I know it's a little bit apples to oranges because virtual cars versus real cars, but these are the counterparts. And, iRacing has come such a far way that they even have full sanctioned racing through NASCAR with the esports series and the Coca-Cola esports. So, those guys are flown down. They're crown champions. They get paid out for the sponsorships, and they get a $100,000 championship on the line that they race the entire full schedule at NASCAR Cup Series. This is as real as it's going to get for us without somebody throwing a couple million in our bank account tomorrow.
Yeah, you're right on that, Bradley. And to be honest with you, I really wouldn't have it any other way, because this, it's like you said, this is about as real as it's going to get for us, and it doesn't hurt. It damn sure doesn't hurt me. Here we go. Green flag in the air. Jordan actually tried to jump it a little bit. Maybe tried to get Ziegler to jump a little bit earlier. Ziegler, he's going to be able to fire away. Jordan up top. Now Wilkin. He's gonna fire down on the inside, thinks different of it, backs away. Everybody for the top 4, they get single file. The side-by-side battle is on for fifth. It's Marshall Newton, and it's Joseph Terciano. Terciano's still down on the inside as they send it going into turn 3.
Holds it down really well. Plenty of room for both these cars to stay side by side. No wiggles. Well ran on the line. You can see a little bit of damage there in the right front of the 76, but it doesn't seem to be hindering that run on the outside. And he'll hang it out there one more lap and keep that position. This is for the top 5.
Newton up on the top, Terciano. Now Terciano.
Oh, there's Gates with another
gonna
save.
let him go. Here comes Galen. Here comes CJ Gates. How about this? That man right there, honestly, Bradley, he has been all over the track and just straight up cut off Brent Allen. He went straight up the track. If Allen wouldn't have got out of the gas, he'd have right rear hooked him straight into the fence. But Gates has been all over the racetrack, and he's actually made a lot of it work. And now he's up in the fence. Allen's going to come tag him in the back end. Now Gates gets sideways.
Allen, yeah, I mean, Allen's cutting him a break here twice. I don't know how much longer Allen wants to be patient with him, but that opened up the door for the 97 to get to the inside. And into the wall here. See him working the wheel there, just missed it on the camera, but yeah, up into the wall, he had the 97 to the inside. Wish we could have got that camera up there just a moment ago because there were so many brakes cut from the 13 to the 14 of Gates that I was wondering if maybe he was going to wreck him.
Well, I mean, Allen can probably still get back to him, and I think what happened when Allen ended up getting to the walls, Burns, he said, screw it, he's going to send it. Burns trying to get around Gates. Now Gates going to fight hard on the inside. Temper's starting to flare here in Darlington, South Carolina with Burns, Gates, and even Allen back there right behind them. And you mentioned it. How many more breaks is Allen going to end up cutting CJ Gates? Now he's got up to the back bumper. Is Allen going to send him, or is he going to try to let bygones be bygones right here?
I think we better put the camera on it. Let's find out.
That's exactly what I would do. There you see, riding on board with Allen. Wow, he's actually stretching his arm coming off of turn 4. Wow. That's some hellacious driving right there to be able to pull that off right there. But Allen, I mean, there you see, he is laser focused, obviously, sitting right down the top 10. Gates, loose right in front of him. Allen ain't even going to have to worry about it. CJ Gates hard up into the outside wall coming off of turn 1 and 2. Gates may have got the meatball flag. He may be going in.
Using that car up big time here for the 14, and he will bring it down to pit road.
Actually, he's just going to park it right there at the entrance of pit road. I think CJ Gates may end up just going ahead and towing it. You'll see it right here on the instant replay. We were riding on board with Allen. We saw it all transcribed right in front of us. And I mean, I think, yeah, Gates, I mean, just oversteps it, maybe jumped the cushion a little bit. And then at that point, that turn 1 and 2, folks, it is straight up wide. As far as wide open goes, you're more wide open in that corner than you would be in 3 and 4. And then once the back end just clocked right into the outside retaining wall, he tried to get off of it. And once he got off of it, he just started getting sideways. And then from there on, he was just trying to save it and trying to be able to make it. And unfortunately, he ends up tagging it very, very hard. And he's still down on pit road.
Ziegler, Joyner, Wilkin, Mulnix, the top 4. A little bit further back to your 5th place driver, Marshall Newton, has held on. He was in some side-by-side battles earlier, but has since pulled away from Galen Wunsch by about half a second. Top 5, very spread out. In fact, the top 6, they have pulled away from Joseph Terciano 2.7 seconds as they come around to complete lap number 53. You're watching the QSR Xfinity Series live on Vspeed. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back. Uninterrupted coverage continues right after this.
I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. and gentlemen, start your engine!
Back here live from Darlington Raceway. 9th through 12th position was going at it there for a moment, but a little mistake there by the 13. He's into the wall again. Brent Allen, ever since he got tangled up there with CJ Gates, he has lost a ton of ground on this top 7 drivers, and he's fallen back to 10th. He's at risk of going out of the top 10 with the 15 of Ethan Wisnowski on the inside.
Yeah, Wisnowski able to fight hard down on the inside. Obviously, Allen, as you mentioned, going through a lot of battle scars here tonight, almost a little door banging with Ethan Wisnowski and Brett Allen, but Allen able to get the run off the top side. Wisnowski actually got out of the gas. He may have cut him a break right there and not stuffed him straight up into the fence. Still a long way to go. 95 laps are the full distance in this race as they're coming around to start lap 60. So a lot of, still a lot of racing left to go. And one thing about it, Bradley, these guys, it's going to be close on whether or not they want to try to go in and make an extra pit stop, or if they just want to go ahead and fire it off and be able to try to make it all the way to the end. We'll see how everything ends up working out, as we may end up having a battle for second as Allen trying to go around. Brett Allen actually going down pit road, as we may have a battle for second and third on our hands.
But here's Ronnie Joyner, Trenton Wilk, and Daniel Molnix. All right on top of each other. The 12 makes a mistake that allows the 2 down to the inside, down the back stretch into 3. They'll be door to door, chops the nose off. The 12 shuts it, but it's going to open back up after this apex. 2 to the inside, looking for third for the first time today.
Yeah, Molnix trying to see if he can fight back from that earlier spin. I did mention that Brent Allen was going into the pits, but he did not go into the pits. He kind of made a bonsai Gates move, I guess you could say, going into 3, and it didn't pan out for him. But Molnix had the inside to try to be able to get to Wilkin, and thought different of it and backed away. So Molnix really trying to fight up here and get to his teammate Ronnie Jordan. Ziegler is straight up gone right now. He has checked out to a second and a half. Now Molnix able to get a run off of turn number 4. He's going to ease it down to the bottom. He may have had enough, almost sent him into the wall. Almost.
That was a pinch there. We need to get back on the instant replay and get another look at that one, because there was no room for the 2 car to be down there. Trent Wilkham did not cut him any slack.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting instant replay right there. There, you're going to see it right there. Yeah, I mean, he gave him no room whatsoever right there. Molnix literally got out of the gas. But the one thing bad about that right there, Bradley, is it didn't really screw Molnix up. Molnix is still on his back bumper, so obviously Molnix is going to race him down. But yeah, I mean, look, he was obviously literally forced him down below the dotted white line. And Molnix has now ran him down. And obviously Molnix, he is going to race him 10 times differently than what he would have. He's going to give him the bumper going off of 4.
He just let him know, not very happy with that last move, and try that again, you're going to end up in the inside wall. Can't blame him. I mean, I've raced with Molnix, I've raced him hard, but we race each other clean. So probably not one of the guys you want to make mad, especially if he's faster.
No, I mean, I'll agree with you 100%. He is not a driver that you want to mess with out here on the racetrack. And Molnix, he may end up getting by him with ease, and he's going to do it. Wilkin got the message. He understood the assignment. Daniel Molnix goes to third and gets around Trenton Wilkin. And now, if Wilkin's able to get back to his inside, which doesn't look like it's going to be, obviously, you got to think Molnix would probably do the same exact thing to Wilkin as Wilkin did to him right there in turn one if he ever gets in that situation again.
Looks like Trenton Wilkin falling off the pace a little bit here as we progress. 24 laps on these tires. Drivers came down pit road right around that lap 30 mark, and these guys they've been putting it down so far. It's the Jared Ziegler show. He's led every single lap, so if you're Ronnie Joyner, if you're Daniel Molnix right now, are you gonna short pit? Are you gonna make it a 3-stop or a 2-stop race, or do you just commit here to being in second, third spot?
Well, I mean, honestly, Bradley, I'm going back and I'm looking at when they went last green, and they went at 44. Honestly, you can make it all the way to the end with the fuel that they got, but it's going to be a real trick as to whether or not they're going to be able to make it last with the tires. So the fuel, obviously, they can make it, but there is that option to maybe undercut them. But what you got to worry about is whether or not Ziegler's going to do it, and whether or not the whole field's going to end up doing it. I think you may be just basically riding right here, and both these guys, Joyner and Molnix, maybe just trying to save their stuff. And maybe Ziegler end up overstepping his boundaries and may jump up, tag the wall, and then both of them have a shot to battle it out for the win later on. Because I don't think anybody's going down pit road right here at this point. They could fool me at this point, but I don't think anybody's going.
So setting up for about 25 laps to go. Jared Ziegler 2.7 seconds ahead of Ronnie Joyner. Daniel Molnix just behind him. Battle for second starts to heat up. Trenton Wilkin, who's fallen back to the clutches of Galen Wunsch. This is the spot for fourth.
Wilkin trying to see if he can hold on to it. Obviously, him and Molnix maybe had a little beef just a while ago. Now, I'm sure Molnix probably relaying to Wunsch what had happened up there with him. So now Wunsch is going to have to figure out a way to try to get around Wilkin. Molnix still trying to send it and get up here with Joyner, but now Wunsch all up in the back bumper. He may end up getting a run. Yes, he's going to dive it down to the inside, but watch Wilkin try to pinch him down right here on the inside. Galen actually thought about it right there for a second. Wunsch really thought that Wilkin was going to pinch him down. He backed out of the gas as we got a battle for second on our hands. Molnix goes to the inside. Joyner just lets him go.
Joyner in the 00 lets the two by with ease. I think a lot of respect between these two drivers. They came on last season here at QSR, and once that began, it seemed like, you know, the 97, who's actually kind of suffering here tonight after that damage, he didn't get as good as finishes as he was used to. He was used to being up there first or second spot, and then once Daniel Molnix, Ronnie Joyner started coming into the playbook, it was rare that Jeremy got any victories. So these two have raced up front a lot together. You know, of course, as per usual, Molnix usually the long run driver, Ronnie more of that middle and short run guy. So they always kind of meet each other up front towards the halfway point of these races.
Yeah, and then, and you know, not to mention, honestly, or you mentioned the respect that both of these drivers have for one another. Obviously, two teammates, a part of Phantom Motorsports, that being Molnix and Joyner. So both of them showing a lot of respect to one another here in the QSR Xfinity Series. And Molnix trying to see if he can get something going on this long run. I'm going to tell you right now, he caught Ziegler, but only by 1,000th of a second that last lap. It was not by much. So Molnix damn near mirroring lap times what Ziegler's running. I mean, Molnix ended up running a 30.728. Ziegler ran a 30.730. So both of these drivers, Ziegler and Molnix, running the same exact lap times.
Molnix has a lap car that he's going to navigate around. That's the 60 machine of Mike Keatron. 21 laps down, but Petrin sticking it out. He's going to get past a few of these drivers that were actually ahead of him at about the halfway point of this race. Remember, Petrin was outside, almost out of the top 15, and now he's in 13th position. And if any one of these guys were to have a day-ending wreck, he could still pick up a couple more spots.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing you want to do with a long season ahead of you is just soldier on. Soldier on. No matter what happens out there on the racetrack, just soldier on and be able to try to make a bad day somewhat good. I mean, if you can make a bad day and turn it into a good day, you'll take it all day long. But I think this one right here, I think he would take this 9 wasted Sunday, considering at one point, Bradley, he was sitting in 20th, as you mentioned. And then a couple of guys ended up getting into some wrecks. He ended up being able to bypass them because they had too much damage to fix. So obviously Petrin had a little bit of a scuffle in the wall earlier on in the race, and he was able to get back out there. As you see Wunsch actually getting around Wilkin. He actually moves up to 4th. Wilkin's starting to get bypassed by a couple of guys. Marshall Newton up there in the 76.
Ooh,
Wilkin
12 in
slams
the
the fence. Now Newton, he's going to get the run, and Jeremy Burns might follow right behind him.
12 car had fallen off the pace quite considerably, and now he is riding the outside wall. 76 and Marshall Newton cuts him some slack here, but Jeremy Burns trying to find his way around this, try to get his way back into the top 5. It's kind of a traffic jam back here, I think, with Wunsch and Wilkin racing as long as they did. That reeled these two back in. Fortunately for Wunsch, now that Wilkin's in front of the 76, he's going to pull back away from these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you right now, I mean, Burns is really trying to figure it out, and as mentioned earlier on, this track is not as wide as a lot of tracks. It is very, very narrow, so you got to be able to pick your points.
Oh, contact!
Marshall Newton down to the inside. Wilkin got a little loose off of 4. Ended up tail slapping him right there coming off of 4. Burns sends it in very hard, almost tags him in the left rear. Burns needs to get around Wilkin if he wants to get a top 5. Putting a lot of pressure right now on Trent Wilkin. Jeremy Burns maybe looking to the inside right here in 3 and 4. He thinks Dipperty's going to go to the top, maybe try to get the run. Wilkin almost slid up into him as Burns rim riding on the outside. He's able to get up to 5th. And here comes a lap car on the bottom. That's Ethan Wisnowski. He's on fresh tires.
And that didn't help that the 12 was blinking out. Now the 97 into the wall. The 12 chases it up the hill. They don't make contact, but Marshall Newton, excuse me, is still stuck behind the 12.
Yeah, he's still behind that 12. Obviously, Marshall trying to maybe get up there, maybe end up giving him a little bumper tag, sending Wilkin up the hill. And now Marshall able to get to the inside, try to get around Wilkin. Looks like he's going to go door to door with him. So now Newton and Wilkin, they go door to door. Newton able to get by him. Wilkin basically let him go right there. Wilkin very much struggling after at one point was sitting up there with a podium spot. I think he was high as 2nd, to be honest with you, Bradley. Really struggling now. He's already dropped back to 7th right now. And about 6 seconds back is Joseph Terciano. So I think Wilkin just wants to try to hold on and at least try to get a 7th place finish out of this.
Terciano into the wall as well as he goes through the exit of turn 4. So problems for the 83 as well. Wilkin has a pretty sizable gap of about 6 seconds here, but both these cars very off the pace as the battle for the lead, well, it's not really much of a battle. Jared Ziegler's on an island right now. He's got an area code. He's got his own post office. It's just it's been a great day for the 57. You can't draw it up any better than this. He's led every single lap thus far.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it honestly, Bradley, I mean, it could have not been in this situation right here for Jared Ziegler. You think back to the lap 1 restart right there, the initial start coming off of turn 2 when Burns got loose. He could have straight up cleaned out Jared Ziegler, and Ziegler wouldn't be up here in this situation. So Ziegler, not necessarily saying that he got lucky with this right here, because obviously he's hauling ass all the way around the track. He's checked out and he is gone from Molnix and Joyner and Wunsch, but still it could have turned out way different for Ziegler had that last or that first lap incident ended up collecting him. We could be talking about a completely different race, but right now the fastest car on the track right now is Jared Ziegler.
Sizing up with the 57, he is 5 seconds ahead. Daniel Molnick's in second position, Ronnie Joyner in third, but Galen Wunsch has caught up to the 00. Here's a pass for third position into 1.
And, Bradley, you mentioned it a minute ago with that short to mid-range speed that Joyner has. Looks like that actually is going to turn right into the long-run speed. And then obviously there you see Wunsch able to slide by him and get the pass. So Wunsch sitting up in the podium spot. Joyner is slipping back a little bit. Joyner's slipping back a good bit right now. He is way off the pace compared to the leader and his teammate up there, Daniel Molnick. So Joyner's slipping back. You better watch his back door. You're riding on board with Jeremy Burns in the 97. Good drive by Burns to be able to get back up here. Obviously, he would love to finish where he started at, but I mean, unless the caution comes out, that's probably not going to end up happening for him. But he may end up taking fourth away from Joyner as he has reeled him in. There you see Joyner right in front of him. Burns running well faster right now than Joyner is, as he's literally about 7/10 faster than Burns is 7/10 faster than Joyner right now, so he's reeling him in big time.
And just last time by another 3/10 on that, so he will be at the rear bumper within a couple laps. But they're running out of time for him to go up there and catch Galen Wunsch, and I know for Burns this might be one of those disappointing days. He's been as high as the second spot here to begin this race. Not exactly what you want, not what the doctor ordered, but it's just one of those days that I actually started on the pole. I take that back. So, it's just not exactly how he planned this race to go. Obviously has speed to be up towards the front. However, he's not fully invested in the Tuesday nights. He's fully invested in Thursday nights. So this one's just kind of a, let's come out here, race with these boys, some of the names he's familiar with on Thursday night, and get a feeling for how this race is going to go, because we've got some all-star racing going on Thursday night. And I believe we have some tickets on the line. I don't know if you've heard anything about that, but I'm pretty excited, Jake.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that. From what I heard, the winner of that race Thursday night, I believe, is going to get 2 tickets to the Coca-Cola 600, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was the word that I heard out of that. So that's going to be a big deal right there for whoever ends up winning that Gen 4 race. So that'll be awesome to end up seeing. But back to Jeremy Burns. I mean, I talked about it a while ago, bad or a bad day into a good day. Well, he started off, he had a great day, and then he ended up having, really a bad day, if you want to put it at that. Now he's got it back up to a good day. Not a great day, but a good day to be able to drive all the way from the back and drive up here and get a solid top 5. And obviously Joyner, not too shabby, I guess you could say, up here, trying to see if he can hold it down. Looks like he's going to end up getting 6th out of this, as Marshall Newton was able to get by him. So Joyner really slipping back big time. But up front, it's been all Jared Ziegler. I mean, this man right here, he has straight up been waxing them here this evening. And barring a caution coming out, a phantom crazy caution coming out right here, Jared Ziegler's got this sucker in the bag.
Yeah, he's got it pretty much wrapped up. 6.7 seconds. Lead continues to grow. He's about 0.2 faster last time by than Daniel Molnick, who has pulled out a little ways, but not too much. I mean, anything could still happen here for the 2. If he got some of this lap traffic, maybe holds him up for, still a little bit of time here. Wunsch, of course, 6 seconds back as well. And then it's Jeremy Burns trying to chase him down. Top 5 spreads back out. I think this is pretty much going to be our top 5 based off of how distanced these guys all are.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, that's exactly what you're going to end up probably getting right here. Ziegler, Molnick, Wunsch, Burns, and Newton, Joyner looking like he's pretty much going to end up having 6 locked up all the way down to the end. But there you see the Crown Royal car. I believe that is a Ford, if I'm not mistaken, right
Supra.
there. Actually, scratch that. That's a Supra. So a Toyota. Looking pretty good here tonight at Darlington, coming around this time. 2 laps to go. Jared Ziegler, he's literally led every freaking lap. He really has, Bradley. There you see it on your screen. He's led every single lap. But obviously, the one that counts, That's going to be the next one. If he can get it around this 1.3-mile racetrack and secure the win here tonight at Darlington.
Go off of turn 4. White flag up into the air. Jared Ziegler just has to get around this egg-shaped oval one more time and bring that 57 to victory lane. The dominant day, the dominant story, and showing everybody that it wasn't just a one-off there a few weeks ago. There he is, putting his name up on the podium, putting his name up in first. Your winner here tonight at Darlington Raceway for race number 8, Jared Ziegler in the Crown Royal 57.
Awesome stuff right there for Jared Ziegler to get the win. Monix just now coming off of turn number 4, and now he has just hit the line now. So Monix obviously will end up getting second. Galen Wunsch back there. Burns not going to be able to get to him. So Wunsch will get third. Burns will get fourth. And Marshall Newton will end up rounding out the top 5. As the rest of the top 10 look like they're still going by right here. Jordan, he just ended up crossing. Wilkin just now crossing. And those are the last guys that's on the lead lap. 7 cars end up finishing on the lead lap right here, Bradley.
So half the field essentially that was still out on that racetrack. We still had Mike Petrin out there in 13th position. Of course, CJ Gates, Derek McMurtry, Austin Dowdy, all those cars that got involved in something at some point or another. But here we go, burning it down, victory, celebration for the 57. Well-deserved, and that is just a clinic of a race. You can't draw it up any better than that.
No, I mean, you really can't. Honestly, I think Mr. Ziegler may have him a couple of Crown Royals when this thing's all said and done. Obviously, when he gets done talking to us for the post-race interview, like I said, I got a feeling he's going to end up having him a couple of Crown Royals to celebrate the win here tonight at Darlington. Because, Bradley, we talked about it. This track, it ain't easy. It's not easy, not by a long shot. This place right here, it is straight up hell. So awesome to see Ziegler end up getting the win here tonight. Looks like he's going to maybe even throw it back a little bit right here. Check this out right here. A little Polish victory lap. Throwback to Alan Kowicki. Awesome stuff right there by Ziegler.
Post-race interviews with your top 3. You're watching the QSR's race number 8 in the Xfinity Series, live from Darlington Raceway. Final results coming up right after this.
I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your
Back live from Darlington, South Carolina. Race number 8 of the QSR Xfinity Series has concluded. 95 laps here today. And your winner, who led every single one of those laps, Jared Ziegler in the number 57. Just a dominant performance. You can't do it any better than that. Perfect drive, perfect race, 0 incidents. Very close call with the 97. Lap 1, turn 2, but there's the final results up on the screen. Daniel Molnix is going to bring it home in second after falling out of the top 15. He worked his way, clawed it back up there after a couple cautions, got it back under him. He'll finish in second position. Galen Wunsch is going to bring it home in third. Excellent race for him. He gained 4 spots and a perfect day for the 199. Jeremy Burns also in recovery mode. Never could quite get back to where he began this race, but he'll bring it home in fourth. Then it's a great finish for Marshall Newton. I believe he needs this the most because he's one of those drivers that's kind of outside that top 12 looking in. So a great day for the 76. Ronnie Joyner will go home in 6th position after starting and running up front for a lot of the day. Unfortunate there for the 00. He had a lot of speed, but that long run got him. Trenton Wilkin, another one in that same boat for the long run. He falls out to 7th position. Joseph Terciano, a lot of problems with that car, but he was able to salvage the day in 8th. Spencer Johnson in 9th, and Brent Allen, who we saw on board racing with CJ Gates for a minute there, he'll round out your top 10.
Absolutely. And then coming home, P11, you got to have Clay Nelson. He's going to end up finishing 1 lap down in P11. Ethan Wisnowski, he's going to end up finishing in P12. How about Mike Patron? We talked about him. He was sitting back there literally dead last on the field. But with all that took place throughout the race, he was able to fire off. Still 23 laps down, but a very solid 13th place finish. A good drive by Patron. Then you got CJ Gates. He's going to end up finishing in the 14th spot. You got Derek McMurtry. He's going to end up finishing 15th with Austin Dowdy 16th. You got Nail, West, Stewart, and Thomas. That's the 20 drivers here at Darlington. 3 cautions out there. Obviously, no lead changes. And what a race. What a race.
Yeah, and most notable there, Kevin West started up in the top 3 today and had problems very early in this event. Got sideways, similar to what happened to Burns, but wasn't able to save it. Bounced off the outside and inside wall and the one of West, so probably not a day that he was looking forward to. But nonetheless, he's good enough in the points. I think he can recover from this. But let's get down to your 3rd place finisher. It's going to be Galen Wunsch in the number 199 as we catch up with him on pit road. Galen, I got to ask you, man, it was long run speed for this 199. Had this race went green from the start, do you think you would have had anything up there for Daniel Molnix or Jared Ziegler?
Maybe. I mean, I really thought it, I knew the cautions were going to come out, but I knew this is a pretty good group. So I thought, well, if it stretches, I'm going to try and just, save them tires and I'll be pretty good. But I lost them. Pit. I screwed up in the pits twice. Lost track position. If I'd have stayed top 3, maybe I would have had a shot to maybe get up there and race for it. But Jared's pretty stout here. It looked like he had it pretty well in the bag. As far as being on point, I would have had to really get lucky there. But man, the 12, I had a blast. I don't know what it looked like on the broadcast, but that was fun.
It looked like organized chaos on an egg-shaped oval. That's what it looked like.
That's probably the most fun I had in a long time. Racing like I wish it was for the lead. It would have made more sense. But racing for whatever it was, 5th or 6th, and I was like, boy, we should are racing hard for 5th.
Yeah, I mean, the 12 of Wilkin had quite a few guys there, you included, that maybe got some contact or a little pinch here or there. I think that was Daniel Molnix that had started that train around the 12, and they had a little beef there, so you kind of caught the tail end of it. I think Molnix had kind of used the tires off of that 12 by the time you had caught him. But I mean, overall, Galen, you got to look at this, though, is like this track is just about survivability, and on the right side of everything, you're still alive. You still got a perfect car. You came home 3rd. I mean, what else can you say?
That'll work, especially here. Survived. There was that one wreck. I think it was the 2nd or 3rd caution where they were left and right, and I drove right through the middle. I just could see my race ending right there.
Well, absolutely on that. I mean, it's all in a blink of an eye here at Darlington. Galen, while we have you up here in the booth, though, anybody that you can think of right offhand to shout out for this performance tonight?
Oh, I still gotta give thanks to my wife and kids for putting up with me. You know, I miss a little bit practicing. You know, you got to practice with this group. So
Well, we appreciate your time, man, and shout out to the family, and we'll see you next week here at QSR.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Third place finisher of the night at Darlington, Galen Wunsch in the 199. Let's work our way on further on pit road. Jake Reeves is down there with Daniel Monix.
Absolutely, Daniel Monix ends up coming home second. Obviously, Daniel, one spot from where you really wanted to be. But tell us about your race and what more could you have done to get up there and have a shot at Jared Ziegler?
Probably could have not spun out by myself. There at the start of the race, that cost me a lot of time. I fell back to like 19th. Fortunately, I was able to get back up to 10th, and then me and Chris kind of got together. I think he got loose to my outside and came down, and luckily I didn't get a whole lot of damage from that. He kind of straightened me back out, but that last run, I knew Jared was going to take off. Me and him were actually just talking in the waiting room, and he said that he was putting down qualifying laps at the start of that last run, and I just had two cars to get around and tried to do that without losing as much time as I could. And I mean, the 12 raced me hard. Chopped my nose a couple times, but once I got around them, though, I had used my stuff up, and it was just, at that point, just holding what I had. So, like to finish first. Lucky I finished second, and I'll take it.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned, I guess you could say the contact right there with Trenton Wilkin really could, it kind of derailed it, I guess, and you let him know, I guess, that you wasn't too happy about it. But obviously, you're going to keep the points lead out of this week. Obviously, the points leader, you come out, you get second. Next week's going to be a tricky one. It's going to be in Indianapolis, and we haven't necessarily seen lately, I guess you could say, these Xfinity cars at Indianapolis. What's the mindset going into Indy next week?
Save a right front tire. Just keep it turning. And of course, track position is going to be, track position and clean air. It's going to be everything, just like it is just about every week with these cars. You get back in traffic and they just won't turn, and then you end up using your stuff up trying to get by guys, and then you finally do get clean air, but then you got nothing to work with. So I think track position and that's going to be the big thing. And then figuring out how to get clean air, and because it's a one lane track. You can't race side by side through all four corners. So yeah, I think whoever start top 5, top 3 maybe next week, you got a good shot at winning.
Daniel Monix comes home with a P2 here tonight. Matches his car number, an awesome throwback scheme. And Daniel, before we let you go, you got any sponsors, any shout outs you want to thank that made this possible?
I want to thank you guys putting this on. All the guys at Venom Motorsports. Ronnie, he, last season, him and Quentin got together and they decided to start up this Xfinity. So big shout out to him. It's been a lot of fun. I think that's about it.
Short and sweet. Daniel Monix, your points leader, coming into tonight. He's going to be the points leader coming out. Daniel, appreciate your time. We'll see you in Indy next week.
All right. See you guys next week.
And now, moving on to Victory Lane, I just want to shout out Daniel Monix for that clean race at Kentucky. I think I raced that guy for 30 laps and we never touched doors. So good guy, great racer. So kudos to him for tonight's performance and clawing his way back up there to that top 3. But finally, we are in Victory Lane. We have Jared Ziegler in the number 57, and you can't draw it up any better than that. I think I've said that about 100 times, but it's literally every single lap here tonight for the 57 team. Did you get bored up there? Did you maybe think you were in the wrong place? Maybe everybody else didn't show up. What happened out there tonight, Jared?
Oh, it was a blast out there tonight. I don't think I've ever had this much fun at Darlington before. I somehow made it all the way through 95 laps without a scratch on the car. So I am ecstatic about that. I've never done that before. So
Well, you almost didn't do it coming out of turn 2 on lap 1. A little sideways on the inside of you. We actually talked about that during the commercial break and how, this could have been an entirely different race for you had that went wrong. What was your mindset on the green flag and all these restarts when you guys were all bunched back up?
well, I hated all the restarts. That's for sure. If I can go out there and I can get a 2-second lead, I can run perfectly comfortable. But once you get a restart, you have to send it into turn 1 and pray everyone gives you room. So the restarts absolutely suck. The start of a race, I actually learned that move from last night. We did a practice race last night, and someone else tried it on me. Now, we both absolutely got killed, but I took his notes and refined them a little bit, and it actually worked out pretty good for me. I was sending it, trying to get track position, and I'm like, hey, he's getting loose. I'm going for it. And if we wreck, we wreck. But Darlington's all about the track position. It's hard to go through the field. I know the 2 did. He did a fantastic job going from basically last to second. So bravo to him. But yeah, track positions is so important in my mind here.
Yeah, your day not quite as meticulous and methodical as the 2 of Daniel Molnick's, but it was a Crown Royal day, if we can call it that, for the 57 team. Just perfect racing. Coming into tonight, how confident were you, and how confident does this make you for Indy?
It's very confident. I've never been good at Darlington before. I've had 2 potential wins slip away from me on final restarts, but I've never been a guy who can come out here and just dominate the race. I've always somehow found my way into top 2 or 3 late in the race where I have a chance to win but never could. So I practiced all week long. I want to give thanks to my teammates, specifically Caleb Nelson. He taught me a lot through 3 and 4. I was able to wrap the bottom through 3 and 4 so well all race long, and that definitely helps me save my right front. And to Marshall Newton, we both practiced for 2 weeks long. We couldn't make the Bristol race because we were practicing. So we were looking forward to this. It was a track we had circled on our calendar all season long, and now that we got here, dominated. So I felt pretty confident going into the night. Now, when I got into the session in the 97, was blazing fast in practice and qualifying. That's why I was like, I had to send it on him coming out of 2 there. I felt like he would have been my main threat. Him and the 1 both had an incident later on, so that sucks. So I wish that they both would have been able to race it out. But it's been a very fun night, and bravo to everyone who raced. It was a pretty clean race from my perspective, at least.
And finally, Jared, is there anybody that comes to mind that made this possible tonight? I know you got a lot of people that support you, so go ahead and shout those people out.
Like I said, Caleb Nelson, Marshall Newton, they're both my teammates. Marshall finished 5th tonight. Caleb couldn't make it, so this wins for him because he probably would have beaten me. So one of us had to get it. Luckily, it's me. Wish he was here as well, but he just sadly couldn't make it tonight. Thanks to the league for putting on a great show. I've had a blast all season long, and I'm looking forward to next week at Indy. You guys for broadcasting. This is going to be a one I will definitely go back and watch later in the week to kind of compare what everyone else is doing to what I was doing. And of course, Crown Royal, I was able to do the throwback to 2011 Matt Kenseth. I've been wanting to do this throwback for forever now, but I just never got around to do it. He's 57, and you have to kind of go Heinz throwbacks and whatnot. But this season, I was like, I've got to change it up. Ran it. Now I might want to keep this scheme for next race. It's done pretty well for me. So looking forward to next week.
All right, and we're looking forward to it as well. Jared Ziegler, victorious here today. 95 laps led, started outside the pole. He is victorious here at Darlington. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for us here on Vspeed. I don't know about you, Jake. Final thoughts on how this race went, and I think, in my opinion, it was better than we predicted it. It was a fun race to watch.
Yeah, honestly, Bradley, we didn't know really, I guess you could say, kind of what to expect. Honestly, as hard as the track is, we talked about it, it's been well documented, very, very difficult track to be able to get around. In my personal opinion, I thought that there would probably been more cautions than what there really was. But I mean, you really had more or less, I guess you could say, really an old school feel, which I guess is awesome to see for a track like Darlington. I mean, you had literally one dominant car the whole race. Just go out there and go. I mean, you could throw it back way back to the 70s, like David Pearson, all the times that he's won here in Darlington, South Carolina. So basically, that's what the feel was right here. It was just an old school race where you had fast guys, you had some comers, you had some goers. I mean, that's Darlington for you, man. It was awesome race, and we're going to be in store for a hell of a race next week when we go to another iconic track, which is the Brickyard all the way up north of Indy.
There it is on your screen, May 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you join us here on Tuesday for the Xfinity Series. And stick around there Thursday as well. QSR is going to have their All-Star Night at Charlotte, giving away 2 tickets to the Coca-Cola 600. But for everybody here at QSR and at Vspeed, Adam Baker, who makes all the pretty graphics and produces some races for us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, our other producers, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, and Christian Hill, and my co-commentator, the real redneck announcer, Jake Reeves. This is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.